The Ancient Cistern. Hey everyone, and welcome back to more The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Previously, we finally made our way to the water dragon after trying to get her some water, which would allow us to find our way to the first sacred flame, as she promised to lead us there. And she did. She led us to this ancient cistern, which, lovely for us, it's a dungeon. She didn't really lead us to the flame, she led us to the place that will eventually lead us to said flame. This time, we're going to be exploring the cistern and trying to find our way to that flame. So yep, we're actually back into another dungeon. It's been a little bit since we've been into one of these. And so we actually have a whole new area to explore. Oop, there's an ember relic there. And we have whole new things to discover while we're here. Starting off, I believe we have some new versions of choo-choos down here. These guys, I think, are different. I think they are, like, to my knowledge, just essentially the same, except they're underwater, so they have a different color scheme. I think that's the only difference, but they are underwater, and they technically are different, so, you know, keep that in mind. Starting off, we got a lever over here. Keep in mind now that we can actually go in the water and swim. Makes things interesting. But I do want to come over here because, interestingly enough, you may notice this silver rupee over here. And you'll want to be careful because, as you can see, if you are not quick enough, the hand actually closes on the statue and tries to potentially drown Link to death. So that's not very good. So you want to get close, and then to your spin, you can see you can get out of there pretty quickly. Even if you do get caught, you just have to shake both the Joy-Con or your Wii Remote and Nunchuck, and you can get out of there. Otherwise, you take damage, and it's not good. But hey, 100 rupees, I think it's worth it. You know, I have no ounce of self-preservation. So as you can see, there's a lever there, or a switch, but we really can't access it due to this giant lily pad with spikes at the bottom of it, because you actually can't climb onto these, believe it or not, nor can you stand on those at all. So we can't go that way currently if you look, just due to the, you know, that being present. So we'll have to remember that's there. Potentially maybe we can do something later. And if you look, actually all the bigger lily pads have those, like, spikes at the bottom of them. So that's kind of interesting. And they have that little, like, fish hook type shape to the bottom. I really don't know how else to describe it. See if we can get up there, though, because there is a way up there. Although it is required for a key. But there is also a little bit of a tablet, which may have slain for us. Carved into the great statue are inscriptions of gratitude. They reveal the secret order of this temple. First the back, then the rear, then the back of the right hand, and finally the back of the left hand. That is a lot, but okay. In case you're curious, both hands actually do have a silver rupee for us, so that's 200 rupees just right off the bat. Gotta appreciate what they're giving us. Get some air here. So apparently there's a secret order to this place. Who really knows what that means? And who really cares? I mean, we're still just trying to get our bearings here. But it may be worth paying attention. So let's look back here at the back. And we can see that there's this symbol here. It's like there's the blue teardrop at the bottom. It's a little weird, but okay. And you want to keep that in mind. Again, you can always take screenshots of this from your Switch or from your Wii if you're struggling and need to remember this stuff, because seemingly we will need to. That's why it's bringing it up in the first place. And now we're getting to actually a bit of a different topic, which is the fact that we're starting to get to the dungeons that are actually a little bit more challenging. I feel like this is when the dungeons actually get a little bit more typical. Up to this point, it was pretty much a set path where you had to go. It was pretty obvious where they wanted you to go to, and I don't know, I feel like it was, at least for me personally, I didn't think that any of the dungeons up to this point were really all that challenging. I feel like this is the first one that could give you some trouble reasonably, just due to the fact that now you kind of have a little bit more freedom with where to go, and kind of have to actually find your way here. As you can see here, we also, on these hands, we actually can see that a similar symbol to the one we found at the back is present. So let's go over here and see, and see, remember what the order was. Back. Wait, first the back, then the rear. Wait, what? Wait, what? I don't even know if that makes sense. I'm guessing first the back means like the actual back, not the spot we went to. So I'm guessing what they mean is the actual back of the statue, so not the rump-looking area. I'm thinking we looked at the second one in order. Let me look over here. Let's take a gander. We also have those birds up there. They're not going to be aggro on us because we're not high up yet, so that's nice. They can't really bother us too much currently. Go up here and see if we can spot it. Yep, there's one right there. You can see it's like up, so that's interesting. We have whole areas over there. You can see there's a bunch of stuff we can't really have access to currently just due to where it's at. So let's actually start progressing. What say you? You can see we have a actual switch here, and just like the ones in the area, all you have to do is kind of use your run sprint to get enough height, and then you can actually open them. Okay, so what are we dealing with here? Bunch of lily pads. I'm gonna try and... Oh! Yep, so that we actually learn, kind of as mandatory you learn it there, that's how they put somebody there, which is if you land on the lily pads, they actually will flip over, revealing that spiky stuff, which we have no real way of getting around, so you'll want to be careful of that. Here we have more Skulltulas. I don't think we've seen these guys since the first dungeon, interestingly enough. Oh, God. Yep, and that's an attack we actually didn't see the first time, which sometimes they'll spray their little, I was going to say string, their silk at us, like the spider web. So you want to pay attention to that. Let me see if I can... There we go. So now I'm going to force her out of her little spot, and there we go. Not too hard to fight, so they put 2 back to back. Hopefully at this point you kind of remember how to fight them. Again, we haven't fought them in a little bit of time. Strike the gemstones pointing in the 4 directions wisely. The way will open only for the one who knows the temple's secret order. The secret order, you say? What if it's something like that? It's not. Well, how about if it's something like that? So in case you're curious, the puzzle there is based on the order we got off that stone carving at the beginning that I was mentioning and those symbols we saw. It's referencing the order in which to strike those, and as long as you know the first 2, you pretty much can guess the other 2 because there's only 4 possibilities, and yeah, so it's not that difficult of a puzzle, but if you're, didn't look at it right away, you'd have to go back and try to find it, and then that could be kind of annoying. Let's see. So actually, before we try to deal with this, I say we do a little bit of the easier route, which is we send up our little guy here. First off, we can actually just grab the amber relic that's up there. But also, remember, if we cut down the string, they'll just fall in the water, and then they'll instantly perish, so we don't have to worry about actually fighting them in a really precarious location. So I say we just get rid of them. Don't have to worry about them then. Can I just swim up to this one, or do I have to do some shenanigans? Okay, you can't actually climb on the lily pads. I didn't remember that for a fact. Let's climb up here. We knew the other one had an amber relic, and this one has seemingly nothing. But there is a lily pad we can now jump onto and swap over. It looks a little bit more spiky than the other ones. I don't know if that's a word, but it's kind of what it looks like. And you can see there's actually a little bit of a chamber back here we couldn't have had access to before. But let's go this way first because this one was already open earlier. And those are a little bit too thick of bars, so we can't get past them even with a spin attack. But thankfully we did access this other vent. You can actually see under the water if there's any other area. So there's actually another one over there that has, I think it's just 20 rupees. Not really too interested in that one. But let's go over and see what's in this one. This one also has 20 rupees, and it has some fragile walls, which is good for us, because that means we can actually break them and go past them. Oops, spun 1 too many times there. Let's see where this leads us at. Seems like a new location. And I missed the spin attack out of the water. Okay, come on, climb the vines, please. Do I have to actually... Okay, I was say that was weird. I don't know why Link wasn't climbing the vines. I thought maybe I actually had to do the spin attack out of the water or something. And we have a chest, and if I had to give a wager, I'd say it's probably a small key. It looks like I was right, which is good, because we actually know a place already where we need one of those. Have nothing else left in this area. Nothing in the water. So what we want to do to actually get back is just jump in this water column, which will allow us to get up here, because it's a lot of water pressure, which you think would actually hurt us if it's enough to move us, like our entire body. You think it would probably hurt a little bit, but... whatever. I'm not going to question the physics of Zelda. I feel like that's an uphill battle that I'm destined to lose. So now we have that key. We can go to the center statue area, since that's the only locked door I believe we have access to up to this point. So let's head over there. And something interesting is this dungeon actually really does remind me of the first one in the Forest Temple a lot. Like the main room, if you remember, where we got the beetle. Just the shape of this main room, too, it reminds me of it. And maybe there's something to that lore-wise, since they both take place in the Faerun region, or maybe it's just something that is absolute nonsense. Okay, so it seems like they want us to pay attention to going up there. But let's go down first, actually, and see what's down here. It's definitely an enemy we may have seen before, but not exact. Stall Master. Yep, not Stall Foe, Stall Master. This is an elite captain of the undead soldiers. When provoked, it has the ability to strike with all 4 of its sword-wielding arms. I recommend inflicting damage with the slight gap present itself as it raises its sword for an attack. Yep, so this is a much harder version of the enemies we've already fought, the Stalfos. As she said, they actually can use 4 hands eventually, which is something we haven't gotten into yet, because we haven't done enough damage. As you're about to see, I think, here. He's got an axe and another sword. He has a total of 4 weapons now he can use to attack us, and now that means the gaps in his, well, defenses are a lot smaller, and they're going away a lot quicker, and he'll counter a lot faster. There is a chance, yep, like that, he'll actually make you do a jab, which means I probably just hit the mic there, sorry about that. To actually hit him, just due to how the fact that he can cover all the other sides. Once you do enough damage, his helmet should go flying off, and you can see his beautiful face, which means we're getting close to finishing him off, and speaking of, there he goes. A little bit of a Looney Tunes moment there. Still not all that tough of a fight once you know what you're doing, but again, as long as you don't just flail away, you should be pretty much decent. I don't think it's that hard of a fight, though it is certainly harder than the versions we fought previously. What's the loot gonna be this time? Another key? Nope, it's our dungeon item. You got the whip. Attached to the end of this whip is a strange glowing sphere of light that can latch onto various things. If you see something you can't reach, target with ZL and snag it with your whip. Snap. So we have ourselves the dungeon item already, and you may, just from being able to visually look at things, have already gotten a clue as to what this thing may help us do. But in case you didn't, one of the things we can do, due to that sphere at the end of it, is we can actually target things like this, and if we swing it, you can see it gets that blue sphere around it, swing it again, it allows us to actually interact with certain objects. I don't know why we couldn't just move that with our hands. Maybe it was a little bit too stuck, and I guess the whip allows there to be a little bit more of a, you know, speed there, aka allowing there to be more of a, I really don't know the physics behind it, nor again, do I claim to. We actually can access this area over here too now, which again, we can go over to this spot here, and that time it didn't even latch on, we just actually like pimp slapped it away. Raise up here, and there's another spot up there we can go to. Let's say you check it out. Again, we just slap it. I like how it's not even attaching, it's just like we're just straight up hitting it with the whip, which is kind of funny to me. So we can actually see there, that is the dungeon key, or at least it looks like it, the boss door. Look for the key that lies beneath the earth. Interestingly enough, that kind of makes it seem as though we already made it to the boss door, which means maybe we're already close to the flame, hopefully. That would be pretty nice, considering we haven't been here for all that long. Let's check out this door before we go anywhere else, because this one we actually can't exit. And it leads us to absolutely nowhere, because this looks just like a death sentence if we tried to jump from here. There's that little, like, crevasse there. Nothing for us really here. But now, thanks to the whip, we actually can do quite a few different things. One of them is go over here to this spot I mentioned earlier, and if we access this spot up here, do I roll off? I rolled off, okay. Can I climb up to this spot at least? No, I cannot. Okay, well, let's climb over here. These interesting fish hook shapes I mentioned look like that because you can actually flip them over with the whip now, meaning you don't have to worry so much about soft locking yourself by hitting the lily pads and whatnot. And with them, we can actually also access these levers from further away, so we don't have to be as close to them to have access to them, which helps and makes things a little bit easier. Just like that. Now we cut off the water there, so we can actually go down to this spot here, this little tunnel, because the waterfall had too much pressure, so we couldn't actually get past it before, allowing us to get over here. And we have another Skulltula. Again, not super hard of a fight. We just gotta flip them over, and then they're dead. A lot more intimidating looking than they actually are to fight, but that's whatever. Go back here behind this, and we actually have ourselves a chest. Keep in mind we don't have the dungeon map yet, so we can't really find these things too easily. It's only 20 rupees, not a ton, but again, it's a little, not really out of the way by any means. Might as well grab it. Going over here, we actually seemingly are locked, but again, thanks to the whip, we can access some of these levers, which is a really cool mechanic to me, just being able to go through those little gaps and stuff, and I don't know, in a lot of older Zelda games, that wouldn't have been a thing. So here we have more people with bows, which are never fun, since they can do damage from far away. Oh, I got the moves. Oh, he missed, and now he's dead. Oh, wait, the spin attack actually was able to take him out. Wow, those bow guys are a lot weaker than I thought. Okay, I'm cool with it, though. Get rid of those two. There we have a pit you don't want to fall down. We have some water there. Don't think we have any reason to go down there yet. There is some goddess butterflies here, meaning there is a wall here, but the goddess wall, again, I'll get into a little bit later. But there is one there as well if you want the hearts, because that is one we know of already. With these on the wall, we can actually use them as makeshift vine ropes, kind of like we could back earlier. Except now we actually can use the whip so we can create our own, which is kind of cool. So let's see if we can get enough momentum. Get up here. Don't want to miss that one, because again, that is a giant pit that leads us down to nowhere's land. And let's see here. We have seemingly a giant... Oh, we're getting shot at. That's not good. Here we have this rotating sphere, or cylinder or something, and there's a bunch of vines on it. So we actually have to just climb it up and down, and eventually find ourselves in a spot like this. We can then let go. This allows us to get our bearings for a moment, so you can regain your stamina. Because even just holding on, keep in mind, does lower stamina. Ooh, that was close. But he missed. And now he's going to miss again because I'm running. Oh, I was hoping he actually wouldn't fall in case he dropped a skull, but that's fine. So now we go over here. You actually could see this whole other area over there. Let's use our slingshot to get rid of that guy, because I really don't feel like dealing with that. And you could probably see that there is a lever in a weird spot. We'll actually want to jump down here first so we can lower this. Like that. And then we'll head back up and use that thing to swing around. It's a really cool dungeon mechanic, I think the whip is, as an item, just allowing you to have access to these things that because, for example, we've already used, like, the vine whip, for example, right? So we already know kind of how the swinging mechanics work, and we know how the lever system works from the Linearu province, but allowing you to actually have, like, free use of these things and kind of create your own, and allowing there to be that much freedom with the, like, puzzle solving, I think is really cool, but maybe that's just me. So let's get rid of these guys. Again, they're giving us a lot of fairly easy enemies to fight, which I'm okay with. There's also a jelly blob back here, I heard that. And we have a... Oop, nope, not swing the sword. There we go. I'm okay with them throwing easier enemies at us, because trust me, that won't last the entire game. So now we created a whirlpool, and at this point I think we'd see the water level probably lowering, but what do I know? Let's dive right in! I'm sure this won't, you know, hurt us by any means. Just going into a giant human-sized drain. Also seeing Link flail around there is admittedly hilarious. The music change there doesn't give me too much confidence. And there's spiders, because of course there are. There's an amber relic here. Don't think I didn't see that, though. I'm grabbing that first. And once again, I'm going to be quickly doing the easier thing. I think you could probably also shoot them with the slingshot, and then they may automatically fall down because they aggro on you, but I'm not entirely sure for a fact if that's a thing, but... you know, whatever. So, also getting rid of them, we'll flip over the lily pad there, which is good because we can't do that ourselves since we had no way of gaining height. Now take out that other one since he's not guarding anything of value, so we'll just leave him be, and you'll have to know that we murdered his friends in front of him, and yeah, it's pretty depressing. So this is seemingly a sewer system underneath the dungeon. I don't really know why it's here. Here we have another interesting mechanic. We can see a bokoblin there with a shining object there, seemingly a key, and we have a locked door here. Seemingly we are stuck here, and he just has free reign to start shooting at us. But we have the whip, and that allows us to actually steal items off of bokoblins, and it's an interesting mechanic you wouldn't think about, as cool as it is. And this is probably something you can get stumped at if you're not thinking about it, but here's something else. That actually will come up later, and I'll mention when we can use it to do something, but that is a mechanic you'll want to keep in mind, that you can steal some items from bokoblins. Certainly looks like our target. Giant valuable chest. And the area around here definitely has a different look comparatively to everything above ground we've seen. Keep in mind, everything above ground was like this giant, ancient looking like place that people would worship, and down here it looks like a torture chamber, you know, stuff, and it's not good. And we have another pipe. Doing some Mario Bros, like the going through the warp zone, whatnot. Well, it seems like we're in a different area, and there's no amber relic this time, unfortunately, so I'm a little sad. And we have a bit of a ventilation shaft there. The thing with dungeons, if you need a tip on to like finding some of these puzzles a little bit like easier and trying to get through them, is just making note of things around you that seem a little odd, and keeping those in mind later, because you never know when you're gonna get a new item or when you'll have a new piece of information opened up to you. So anything that seems odd, you'll just want to keep in the back of your mind, because that'll make it easier if you need to come back to them, and you'll be like, oh, I know where that's at. At least for my experience, that's what I do when I'm struggling with these dungeons. Also, I think I need to... yeah, I think you can use gust spells to get these guys off, right? Can you not? Oh, I was hoping you could just eventually get rid of them with that. Okay, well, that's fine. We'll just shoot them. That's a bit of a simpler solution, but it's not as funny if you ask me. Oop, oop, oop. I have the scatter shot, and I could be using that, but I'm not. What the frick, Link? He just dove headfirst into the goddamn freaking lily pad. No. So now we can climb up here. And yeah, as I was saying, if you're struggling with some of the dungeons, that's no big deal, especially at this point, because this is when I think the dungeons start getting a little bit more complicated. As I said, even that stuff with the whip, as cool as it is to me, it is a little bit more of an obscure thing. Also, how did we not get that bonk? You kidding me? So yeah, we actually did have our shield take some damage, which sucks, but thankfully the nice thing about that is then I can kind of technically show off the healing. As you can see, it actually regens super quick. So as long as you're not in like a giant horde of enemies, you're pretty much set for shields. It really is not as bad as it seems. If you're just fighting one-on-one enemies and using your shield to counter, it's really not that bad. Make sure you come over here to lower this. This is a shortcut back to the main room if you need it. It's also just nice to have these for later, and I believe this actually takes us to a spot we haven't been to yet. We could have had access to this earlier, as you can see from the things there, but we had no real reason to. And out here, more importantly, we have another chest. This is one we're going to want to grab because it gives ourselves an item I talked about earlier, the dungeon map, which is good. Now we can finally see access to all these things that we didn't have earlier. We can see all the locked doors. We can see all the chests, which is nice because then we know what to not pass up on and make sure we grab everything later on. Can't go over there. Of course, we did flip over the lily pads. Now we should be able to go down to this area, which is nice. And I saw 20 rupees down here, which is always good. Ooh, can I get the 20 rupees? There we go. Okay, good. Here we have more of these twerpy enemies. Unfortunately, we're gonna probably take some damage as they're in close quarters. The best thing to do is just probably ignore them if you want to get through it without taking much damage, but it's whatever. One heart's one heart. We have enough health, clearly. Oh, come on. There we go. Just ram into the wall. Another Deku Baba, not the biggest deal in the world. And we're back on the other side, which we actually didn't have access to earlier. Oh, nope, not the slingshot. The whip. There we go. Something about seeing that just giant thing propel upwards is hilarious to me. So now that's moved, we actually can access the other side, which keep in mind we couldn't have had access to up to this point. So let's just swim over, and then we'll of course have to use the whip to flip it over. Again, a lot of these puzzles, once you get the item and stuff, and you know how the mechanics work, they're really not that complicated. That goes for a lot of Zelda dungeons. But trying to figure out those mechanics sometimes can be a little daunting and challenging at times. Especially, like, again, using the whip on that one bokoblin, I really wouldn't have thought that right away, just because it's kind of an obscure thing to do. At least in my mind. So now we can go over here, which leads us to yet another location. I believe this one is too high up for us to reach just by climbing it, so we do have to use the whip on that one. And again, this gives us a little bit of a shortcut for later use if we need it. And now we actually can have these guys, I believe, come down and aggro us sometimes if they get close enough. Let's see. Yep. Here they are. What are your name? A phoenix, because they look like a phoenix. The spirit bird is said to survive by eating flames. Due to its cautious nature, it can be difficult to approach. However, by catching and holding the bird's attention, some are able to successfully attack it. I suggest being wary of its curled tail. So we have a new enemy here. We have a curled tail, you say. You want to be careful of this guy because they actually have a projectile. I'm going to get my shield out. But as you can see there, their tail is actually their weak spot. As if you get the whip out, you can, after their tail uncurls, you can get the whip out, and then you can pull them towards you, and then just finish them off. They are a joke of an enemy once you realize it's literally just sitting there waiting for them to uncurl their tail, but until that point, they can be a little bit intimidating, so don't worry too much about it. Oh, there we go. So I believe if you don't attack them right away, they do shoot out a flame projectile, which kind of fits for their theme. Also, that is a monster claw. I'll take that. But otherwise, they're really not too complicated in terms of a fight, so I wouldn't worry too much about them. And again, really, realistically speaking, only like one or two of them will see you. You won't have to fight them that commonly. They are not that common an enemy to encounter to begin with, so don't worry too much about it. Another 20 rupees, but again, we're going to try to open every chest we see, just to confirm we get everything in each dungeon. Let's go up here. We're going to have to, I think we can jump that, right? Oh no, I forgot, it's the opposite. We actually have to go up and then drop down on it. Hold up. I'm going to regain my stamina first, because I don't think I'm be able to make that. I feel like realistically you should be able to run and probably jump that, but you probably can't because, you know, why would it? And oh, there we go. Okay, so you have to actually let go there, which means it's a little bit of a trust fall, and I don't trust myself at all for that crap. So now that we're over here, we can access more things with the whip. Again, a lot of this stuff just kind of comes naturally at some point. Here we actually have like a lever there. And as we can see, it actually lowers the entirety of the statue from earlier. Which does close off access to that chest. Thankfully it doesn't crush it though, because it's a little bit indented. But it's interesting to note that that is a thing. Spinning this will give us a shortcut back up to here. Kind of implying we'll have to come back up here at some point, so keep that in mind. And there's that area over there, which is interesting, but we can't have access to that yet. And I believe we can actually spin that back up if you want to, but I believe we want it this way for a moment, because if you noticed, the entire statue actually did lower, but we still have access to the inside of the statue, meaning we can now actually access that underground area that we've just essentially seen in glimpses, because now this is that one spot near the head. And instead, now, as you can see, everything's actually been lowered, so it is a little confusing, but it's not all that confusing. I said a little, not a lot. Could try to jump and not fall too far down, which is probably the hardest. I just did the exact opposite I wanted to do. The hardest part of this dungeon is trying to not go to a different floor than you want to. I don't care, I take damage, I just want to make sure I landed in the spot I wanted to be at. Nope, not again. Not again! Okay. I don't get why I'm struggling with this so much. For some reason, like, Link's not wanting to jump down, and I mean, I get it realistically, but it's just like, come on, man. Just take the damage. We can get health later on. We also have potions if we absolutely need it. Okay, that's the wrong door. That's the wrong door. This is the right door, I presume. Down here, right? No, wait, no, that's where we fought the... That's where we fought the guy. Wait, what? Wait a minute, what? What's wrong with me? Because this is the... Oh, no, this is right. Yeah, this is right. Because keep in mind, where the whip was at was just a little section. It wasn't actually, like, part of the statue. And, yep, a little bit of a difference here. And here we have a new enemy that kind of disturbed me as a kid. Cursed Bokoblin. This horrifying Bokoblin reanimates after death. Analysis indicates it fears pure shiny items and will start at the sight of a sacred shield. It is able to reanimate purely through its hatred of this world and its attachment to outlandish underpants. Okay. Kind of take it with seriousness. They are very tanky creatures, though they do not have the reaction gameplay of the others. But as she said, they will actually fear the shine of the sacred shield. Another reason to carry one on you at this point. Does not have to be upgraded, but, you know, you might as well upgrade it because then it's easier. Essentially, if you have the shield, you don't have to worry too much about them getting too close to you because you can always just bash it and then they'll run away. Well, not really run away, but they'll cower in fear of it, which is kind of interesting. And as you may notice, they actually seemingly don't go away until you actually stab them in the stomach. Kind of like how some zombies in certain media will only die if you hit them in the head. These cursed bokoblins will only go away if you do the finishing blow on them, meaning you have to be careful and pick them off one at a time. You want to make sure that not too many are crowding behind you, so you can take them out and get rid of them for good. They are intimidating enemies, mostly just from look, but they are also scary just from the fact that they, again, are pretty hard to get rid of. You have to do the finishing blow to actually get rid of them. And is there any lore implication about these guys? Probably. I don't really want to know what it is, but, you know, it's a little disturbing that they're down here. Ooh. That is the last material we actually need. You got an evil crystal. This solid chunk of pure crystallized monster malice is extremely rare. That is the last material we have yet to see in Skyward Sword, and as it said, it's a rare material. So if you get any of those from these guys, definitely don't pass up your chance on getting them. You can see a rupee in that guy's eye, and I'm going to, of course, send this up there while we're talking. Oh, got some health too, which is nice. Actually, that's really nice, considering that's what we need. Again, something that even now you may not think about is to scout with the beetle. It is really nice. Not even just for items, but also because just looking around and getting a feel for your surroundings, if it's a new area, the beetle's a really good way of doing that. More of these cursed guys, especially now that you know that they can drop cursed crystals, which I was trying to keep on me until maybe they dropped one because I didn't know if we'd get lucky or not, and thankfully we did. Definitely take them out. If nothing else, even though they're slow and really not much of a hindrance, you want to get as many of those evil crystals as you can since they are so rare. And keep in mind, this is the only time we've seen cursed bokoblins up to this point, so presumably our chances of getting those are going to be few and far between. We have some keys here, which are fire keys, which I think we've seen before in the Elden region, which is kind of weird that they're here of all places. I really don't know what the lore implication of them is being down in this, like, underground area, but whatever. Here we have, I believe, yet another goddess wall. I'm gonna make sure. Yep, goddess wall. I'm not gonna use it, but again, it's here in case you need it. What is over here? A gemstone shines deep within the eye. Strike it to shut down the mouth. Wait, what? I read that too quick. Shut the mouth and dam the flow. I could make a joke about, like, wanting people to shut up, and this being a nice way of doing that, but I don't think that joke really works too well, so I'm not gonna do that. So let's see if we actually can. We have a little bit of a scouting tool here. So we have some statue eyes here. Let's take a look in here, see what we got going on. That is, in fact, a gem that I missed because I didn't go sharp enough right. That is embarrassing and a half. Let's try that again. Again, I do have the speed up, which is nice. It makes this way easier. Without it, you'd be making each attempt last way longer. So at least we can speed that up. And there we go. So now we actually can actually access that area now, because there is a bomb there, if you recall, which allows us to get access to that a little bit easier. Here we have some liquid you do not want to drop into. Be very careful not to. Hopefully I don't have to describe why you shouldn't. It looks bad. Trust me, it is bad. It's way worse than you would think. So here what we're going to want to do is actually get our beetle, and we're going to want to grab this bomb here. And you could also just go on the other side, but I believe we can make it this way as well. Unfortunately, you can't speed up when you have an item in your talons, jaw, pincers. I think it's pincers because it's a beetle. And we're just going to make sure we don't get too close to Link, because otherwise it's going to think we're trying to get back to him, and we're really not. So we needed to flood off the dam because there's actually a rock here. Even though we do have the bomb bag, keep in mind as soon as we take one out, it gets ready to implode, so it wouldn't have enough time to get over here before the bomb explodes. So as you can see, we just barely make it over, drop the bomb, and there we go. Now we actually can access that area over there. I don't believe there's anything else over here. I don't think this spot has anything, right? So just like a little... Yeah, yeah. Again, it is a creepy location. Probably the creepiest location we've seen up to this point in the game. Which, Zelda has some notoriously creepy areas in it as a series. So, it is interesting seeing this area, and I'm sure there is some more implications. And something I really like about the Zelda series is that there is a lot of creative, like, storytelling just visually from certain areas of the game, and really we have no answers as to what it is. For example, we don't really know what all this, like, ancient cistern and stuff is for. Like, we have no idea. But clearly it's a spot that seemingly was for worship back for the ancient people who used to live on the surface, but we have no real idea. So everyone can have a theory about it and not necessarily be wrong, and I kind of find that cool. So here we have a lever up here, which actually accesses these cylinders here, and as you can see, it will swap the direction of it, so we don't go flying into those spikes there, which is nice. And again, I don't really know realistically what the purpose of those are. Maybe it's some form of torture back in the day. I have no idea, but I probably don't want to know. Speaking of not wanting to know, I want you out of here. Please drop an evil crystal, though, just for the sake of it. Of course you didn't. He dropped 1 rupee, though. That's pretty nice. As we move forward, I am going to... There you go. I'm going to mention that if you wanted to up to this point, I believe you could have, oh, hello there. I believe you could have upgraded the, shield by now if you, wanted to. Or I could have. You probably could have if you've been playing along and getting some of the same materials. Reason I didn't is because even though there's nothing, like, in terms of gameplay difference outside of them having more health, I just wanted to have this one visually be along with us for a little bit since we literally just upgraded it, so that's why I didn't upgrade it immediately, though. Trust me, you realistically have no reason not to. Here we're going to swap the direction again of the cylinder because we actually want to swap this one too, because it swaps both and not just the one we were walking on. And that will allow us to access this area up here, as you're going to see in a moment. Because keep in mind, if it was spinning in the opposite direction, we physically can't outrun the cylinder moving. And there we go. So now we can access this little shelf area over here, which is nice. And there are more fire keys. Go away. Go away. Go away. Go away. And we're on fire. Go away. Okay, kind of panicked there because I caught on fire. And this looks perfectly fine. Before you do anything else, come over here. Access this. This is another shortcut. You'll want it. You might just access it now while you're here. There's no real reason not to. Yeah. This looks fine. The pile of bones and everything. Why not? Oh, that's something out of my nightmares. Great. So, we have to climb up this piece of string faster than these guys can catch on to us. And when they inevitably do, you have to shake them off manually. And if you don't, then they'll take you back to the bottom. And it is kind of terrifying. And my god, as a kid, was this something that made me actually stay up late at night, imagining the pure fear of this. But something kind of cool, outside of just that being a creepy little spot of a mechanic you have to do to beat a dungeon in a Zelda game, is that's actually based off of, I believe, a story from, I don't remember where, and I'm not going to just say because I don't want to get it wrong and, you know, pretend like I know something I don't. But I do know it's based off a story, and I'll probably put, like, on screen what, group it's from, like Hindu or whatnot. Return the stone giant to its original form and descend below the earth again along the thread. There you'll find the key to the path ahead. Okay, but yeah, it's actually based off of a like story about, I believe it's Buddha, and again, I don't claim to know my like stuff like that too well in terms of that, but I believe it's based off of like a story where he sees a thief who's suffering in like their version of hell, like the underworld or whatever, right? And out of, I think it's because the thief saved a spider, so Buddha took kind of pity on him, and, released, or, like, kind of descended a, string, a single, like, piece of web, like a silk string that a spider would make, and the thief started climbing out of the, underworld, but a bunch of the people who were suffering in the underworld, too, also started climbing out of it, and he was, out of fear of, you know, thinking it would snap, he started demanding that they'd stop so he could get up, and that moment of selfishness actually caused the string to break, condemning them all to the underworld. So it's kind of an interesting story, and it's kind of cool to see that there's a reference in Skyward Sword to that, but yeah, again, I'll probably put in the actual video, because again, I don't remember off the top of my head, and I don't want to claim to know it, when I actually don't, what the story is actually called, and what kind of it's from, and whatnot. You got the Blessed Idol. This carved wooden statue looks like it's supposed to inspire gratitude. It also looks like the stone statue on the upper floor. Again, more lore implications. And look, it's more of these guys. Oh my god. And in case you were curious, yep, you have to run out of there, and now it's... Oh, that's... Oh. That was way less tense than it seemed. If you happen to take too long there and get caught up, that actually is an instant game over, because you get squished, so... Don't let that happen. That is kind of like the boulder from earlier in the game. I believe that's the only time in the game that there's an insta game over, to my knowledge. So, be careful. Or at least in terms of ones we've seen up to this point, insta game over wise. Be careful. Don't let that happen. I believe we got all the chests in the area. And now we have the Blessed Idol we can head up. And again, that Blessed Idol makes me think that this was used for some purpose back in the day. But keep in mind also, there's a lot of things that were supposedly trials set up by the goddess, so maybe this whole building was just one giant trial set up from her. I really don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me. Also, kind of interestingly enough, the door lock looks like a lily pad and has the lily on top of it, which is kind of funny. Once again, though, process is the same. You still got to get the key in its right and proper place. And now with this area open, it just opened a sunroof. That was immensely disappointing considering all the work we just put in. But hey, there's still some stuff to do. We can whip these things, and maybe these valves will do something for us. Who really knows? There we go. And there we go. So that's all 4. A man's got a long neck. Now we've made it to this actual different area. We have a save spot, and we have some hearts. If you couldn't tell, you may want to prepare for what's coming ahead. You certainly are persistent. I'm terribly busy trying to find the clues that will help me revive the Demon King. Your incessant buzzing around my head like some irksome gadfly when I'm this busy is... well, it's making me very disagreeable. Ancient automaton, Koloktos. So Girahim decided to rear his ugly face, all to torment us again. This fight will begin with the giant automaton, trying to swing their giant arms down at us. Once they do so, back out of the way and use your whip to take off their arms. This will then require them to eventually lower their guard enough, as you can see, as they'll have to keep using their arms to actually try to attack us, and for some reason they don't learn to maybe not smash them into the ground. Once they do that, and they can no longer guard their core, that's your chance to go in and do a bunch of damage, as you can see there. Also, Koloktos is seemingly filled with the same cursed stuff we saw in the basement, so that's a little disturbing. Another thing to know about Koloktos is that they are quite the tanky fight. Also, there's a new move, they'll throw their blades out, and you want to be careful because they actually don't come back to them. They will eventually just break. Koloktos is a long fight. They have the most health, I believe, of anything we've seen up to this point in the game. You'll want to be prepared for this and know that this fight will take a while. Doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong, it just means that you need to be doing more damage. That's all there is to it. As you can see right now, it is not that tough of a fight. Just stay close, that way he can swing his arm down. And once it's stuck, all you have to do is back up, take it off, and rinse and repeat. It is not that hard of a fight. If you stay too far away, that's when he'll actually do the swinging of his blades. If you are a little too close, then he'll swing the blades like that, and those are the ones that don't get stuck. So you'll want to be careful. Again, just make sure you're reacting to his movement, and overall, it is not that tough to fight. For example, right now, we can go in and do some damage again. Again, do those spin attacks to get in that extra damage so you can get through it faster. Of course he has legs. And of course he has that. And of course he has those. Yep, the fight's only just begun. Now we're seeing Klakos' true form as a giant freaking octopus-wielding sword master. And once again, the start of the fight is pretty much the same. You'll want him to get close, and you'll want to then take off his arms. As you can tell by that glow, those swords are important. We can actually pick them up. Once you've done that and gotten some of those swords, oop, actually almost hit me, you can then take off his arms, because actually, believe it or not, once you've taken off the first set of hands, you'll no longer be able to use the whip to take off his other set of 3. You'll have to use the sword to then just take off his arms. I was going to say decapitate, but that doesn't make any sense. You'll then have to go over, break the cage that's over his chest, and then you can do some damage with that sword. It does more damage, I believe, than the normal sword we have, so just leave it at that. After a phase is done, he's going to rush you down with a bunch of swinging sword swings. You'll want to stay out of the way. If he is to hit the columns, they will drop hearts. If you need health, that's the way to get health back in this fight. Otherwise, again, it's the same. You'll want to make sure you get close to him so that way he can do some damage. Something he'll start doing, though, is he'll actually start making cursed bokoblins appear. You'll just want to keep them out of the way. Thankfully, you do not have to do the finishing blows to get rid of them. I think it's because the developers knew that'd be really annoying in this fight in particular, having to slow down for that. Pick up the sword, and this is such a cool fight, by the way. This is one of my favorite fights in the entire game, which I guess is a spoiler, but man, it's just so cool. And as you can see, if you're actually fast enough, you don't even have to get rid of his other arms to do some damage. Like that. And also, you may have noticed Link kind of gets thrown back because the sword just begins to float on its own once the phase is done, which is kind of funny. Once again, though, each time he comes back, he's going to start flailing around. You just want to make sure you stay semi-far away, but not super far away, because I think otherwise that extends how long he'll be doing this phase, which kind of sucks. It is a really cool fight. I just think it goes on a little bit too long, and I'm trying to explain it the best I can while I'm doing it. As I mentioned, the cycle at this point is stay semi-close to him, see what he's about to do. Right now he's about to summon some cursed bokoblins, and these guys he can actually team kill himself, but considering they're not that hard to take out, you might as well just get rid of them so you don't have to worry about them. Stay semi-close so that he does his swings, then you just have to take out his arms. And if you want to do it the way the game intends you to do it, you pick up one of these swords, you get a little bit close. Oh, sometimes you'll do that little swing there too, you want to be careful. We're going to let him get a little bit closer. Come on. Also, I'm kind of impressed by Link being able to swing this thing and carry it like it's nothing. This is a giant thing of metal, by the way. Like, this thing would have to be heavy. Let's get a little close. Hopefully he'll swing down so I can show what I was talking about. And no, that is not what I was hoping he'd talk about. Either way, yeah, you then swing at his arms once they come down, because that's the only way to actually get rid of his arms the second round. And otherwise, we just do a bunch of damage using our giant sword. My god, I don't know what it is with this dungeon, but they really want to make sure that you think about it for a while. I don't know why, but as a kid, guess what? That also really creeped me out. That disturbing sight aside, you got a heart container. Our life has been, or our maximum amount of life has increased by 1. And it's something funny you can do if you want to, is you can still use the giant swords if you want to. If you like this mechanic, you can. You can also still break the pillars on your own. You also could have broken them earlier, I just didn't have the need to mention that, so yeah. Really cool fight. Been a long time coming for this. We finally made our way to the end of this temple. And this is a familiar sight. I think we know what to do here. Raise your sword, master. The flames of Aurora have improved your sword, making it longer and sharp enough to do twice as much damage. The sacred flame has purified your blade, enhancing and evolving it. With your sword now enhanced, you are ready to learn a new melody. We should return to the Isle of Sans.